Listen podcast. My name is Camila. I'm in grade 11. One of my passions is the triathlon. I really love all sports related to swim, run, etc. Today we will talk about eating disorders. I will be your host, and I have two special guests with me today. So we have Tara and Rose. If you can please introduce yourself.
So thanks for joining us. My name is Tara. I am a registered dietitian and I currently work at the Yuval Diabetes Center.
Hello, my name is Rose. I am 19 years old. I'm the queen of my own kingdom, soon to be empress. I'm very creative, very beautiful, very up there. To God. Just joking. But yeah.
Okay, so today we will talk about one of the topics that I believe should not be taboo in our society, because I feel like everyone at some point is related to that. We will be talking about eating disorders, right? So let's get started with a question to Tara. So if you can please tell us about what is an eating disorder.
I'm just going to go ahead with the definition from the DSM-5. So the DSM-5 is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the 5th edition. So the DSM-5 classifies eating disorders as being behavioral conditions characterized by severe, persistent disturbances in eating behaviors. They're associated with distressing emotions and thoughts. And these types of disorders can affect physical, psychological, and social function. So there are several different subcategories of eating disorders. I'm not going to go super in-depth into them. We're going to kind of let the conversation flow today and chat about the ones that folks have lived experience with, perhaps. But yeah, they can be pretty intense for the people that experience them.
Well, thank you. As your point of view, like as a dietitian, there is like I believe there is people who sometimes come to you to ask like for a diet or something like super strict, but you're like, okay, maybe you recognize like there is a eating disorder when you recognize.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the area that I work in, like I primarily work in the area of diabetes. So I see folks who live with diabetes, adults with diabetes essentially. But that doesn't mean that population, that those folks don't experience eating disorders. So some telltale signs that often occur when, I'm with someone and, I see that maybe there's like disordered thoughts around food, disordered behaviors around food. It kind of just depends on the conversation and where that goes. Like, I will say this, I'm in no position to diagnose an eating disorder. I can identify some of the behaviors that are associated with it as a dietitian from my lens, but sometimes things that I will identify with that are things like preoccupation with food. Like if they come in and they're like, I can't stop thinking about food all the time. Like I have this food noise. They'll talk about it that way. Sometimes if people will come in and like, especially with the population that I see with diabetes, everyone thinks that they believe that diabetes and nutrition go hand in hand, which yes, to a degree, we can help our diabetes along the way with nutrition, but it's not the only piece of the puzzle. There are many pieces of the puzzle, but a lot of times it just boils down to like preoccupation with food, maybe very strict or rigid kind of behaviors around food, and sometimes along with that, like things like body dysmorphia, which I think we'll probably get into this podcast. But so just negative thoughts surrounding their body, wishing to lose weight, wishing to go on restrictive diets, like all these things. Hopefully that kind of
Yeah,
answers the question.
yeah. So, as my point of view, and as why I experienced, like when I came to Huddle, and I had my appointment with the dietitian, it was so like that. So what's something that like you could you what's something like what you tell to the people who is experienced that?
Like, what would I say to people?
Yes.
Oh, that's a really big question. Because there's so many things I could say. I mean, I would say you're not alone in that. Like, the statistics are huge for folks that are diagnosed with eating disorders. But what's interesting is that I think people who live with eating disorders, not everyone's actually diagnosed. So the statistics may not actually be representative of how many people truly are experiencing an eating disorder. Because remember when I was saying like where the definition comes from, it's that whole like it's the DSM-5. So it's like under a subcategory of mental disorders. So it's highly involved with like our mental health, which a lot of people may not actually realize. But it can be a really hard thing to actually like get a diagnosis from a doctor, because you have to have like sometimes very specific criteria to meet in order to be diagnosed. So basically like the first things I would say is you're not alone, and it's actually like highly prevalent, especially in Canadian society, I would say, and like North America in general.
Yeah, because there's like lots of people who do not have like a diagnostic, but like they know that there's something wrong, and sometimes like they feel like if they go and ask for help, they are doing something wrong, and it's not like that. I remember that I used to think like to go to a counselor or a dietitian is like just for people who was like in a really bad spot, and that's a belief that I have because of my culture and this stuff. So after like you ask for help, you can see like a huge difference, because you start working in that stuff which is hurting you so bad sometimes. And yeah, so I guess, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What's okay? Can I ask you like maybe a personal experience with this problem? This.
Sure. For me, myself, my relationship with food and the way that I perceive my body is something that I struggle with almost every day. Like, I just want to be perfect. I want to have a nice body. When I look at myself, I'm just like, oh my goodness. And so sometimes I'll cut off some foods, like I won't eat breakfast or lunch. And then at the end of the day, I'll just have like a big dinner and then I'll be fine, you know? And I don't know, I kind of see myself in like a bad habit routine where sometimes I'll eat a big dinner and then later on that big dinner I'll start munching on things because it's nighttime, I'm bored, I am at home in my safe spot. I'm not out, God knows what I need to do throughout the day, you know? So it's really hard. Like, I've gained like 30 pounds, 20 to 30 pounds in the last year, just from me always being home and just having that privilege to eat whatever I want because it's there, right? Like, I used to be so concerned about my body when I was in grade 10, 11. I was like this big workout freak. I was like working out 5 days out of the week and I wouldn't eat. That was the problem. I looked good. I was skinny. When I look back, I was skinny. But I realized I wasn't in a proper place mentally with my eating habits because I just wanted to see this result. I just wanted to look fit. I just wanted to look good. Yeah, so there's kind of like my relationship with eating disorders and yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
I guess this is pretty related with the body dysmorphia. So can you talk about it?
Yeah. So body dysmorphia, I also have a definition here. So body dysmorphia or body dysmorphic disorder is a mental health condition classified under obsessive compulsive disorders. It involves an intense preoccupation with perceived physical flaws that are either minor or not visible to others. So remember that, like, these perceived flaws that we have, like, we think about them as being flaws, right? It's something that we believe others maybe see, but actually there may not be a flaw at all. And like, it also raises the question, like, what is a flaw, right? Like, what is a flaw by society standards? Because, I mean, as women, we have to, or like folks that identify as women, we go through this quite often, right? It's like you were saying, like, I think you mentioned something, Rose, about like, I had the perfect, or like I was striving for the perfect body, or like something like that. But it's like, what does that actually mean? So it's kind of interesting when we think of things this way. But people with body dysmorphia often engage in repetitive behaviors like mirror checking or comparing their appearance to others and experience significant distress or disruption in daily life. Does that sound familiar?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That is to relate like with social media, because you enter on Instagram and you're seeing like these types of perfect body, and sometimes it's not real. Like the most part of the time it's not real, but like your mind say like, no, you have to be something close to this person, like you have to look like them.
Totally. And like, especially with how social media has evolved over time, right? Like, it used to be like when social media first came out, it used to just be like filters, right? And that's like all it was. But then like now it has evolved into like AI and like enhancing things, right? So like whether that's like making your eyeballs look whiter or like your lips look more plump, or you know, like stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. So can you tell us about a little bit about your experience with this topic?
Yeah, actually, so while I come to this podcast today from the lens of a dietitian, I also come with some lived experience as well. So yeah, I'm happy to share a little bit of my story. So when I was in my early 20s, it kind of started off like innocently for me, where I just started like going to this like workout class in the evenings a few times a week, and I was like, hey, like I want to go and like join this like workout class, like I think it'd be fun, whatever. Met some cool people, but like the more I went, the more I'd see that the other folks that were going would be like engaging in like meal plans and stuff like that. And like when I first went, I was like, why would I want to do a meal plan? Like I want to eat what I want to eat. So I had that mentality at first, but then over time, like it almost was like consuming. It's like that's all that was around me. So then one day the trainer came up to me and was like, oh, like, would you want to do a meal plan? And because like she directly asked me, I was like I kind of thought about it a little bit further, and I was like, oh, maybe she like thinks like something negatively about my body, which is like why she's asking me if I want to do this meal plan. And I think at the time I didn't have enough like self-confidence, and like I wasn't self-assured enough to be like, no thanks, like I'm good. So I decided to do it, and I went. It was like a slippery slope. Like it was like I started off with like engaging in an absurd amount of exercise and like a very restrictive meal plan, and it started off innocently as being like, oh yeah, I'm just like being healthy, right? Like I'm just being healthy. And then one thing led to another, and like yeah, all of a sudden like I had some friends and family members be like, hey, like are you okay? Like you lost a lot of weight, and it was like weight that I didn't need to lose, like, but it was like everyone else around me was doing it, and it was like all of us in this like fitness class. It was like a lot of folks who identify as women, and it's like we all bonded over like kind of hating our bodies, which is actually like really messed up.
It is really messed up.
Yeah. And like there's like deeper stuff to this too. Like at the time I was working in a job where I'd like come home upset every day, and like I think there were like also some like deeper like mental health things that I didn't address at the time, which like I understand now because it's been years of healing and years of like learning and unlearning things. But like this level of like increased exercise and under eating, like that was my sense of control at the time, because I couldn't control some of the other things in my life that were like upsetting to me. And so I just like held on to this so hard, and I was like, I can control this, right? Like that's a little bit of my story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing.
Oh yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, there is a similarity with your story and mine, because there is a point when you like realize that be healthy is not healthy, because you're like doing extra exercise every day, and like if you eat something wrong like with your family, or I remember that my grandma used to cook like these big meals for the whole family, and like you don't enjoy that anymore because you're constantly thinking like, oh my god, this has like, I don't know, 1,000 calories and that stuff, and that sense of control that you have, it's it's kind of it's so hard because you're the whole day thinking, oh, I will eat this, and when like you eat like something wrong, you have like a lot of guilt. Yeah.
Totally. And like it's funny now because in the area that I work in, like especially like I'll do nutrition counseling with people who live with diabetes, right? And so when I do this nutrition counseling with them, and we'll like chat about like, you know, maybe their food choices and things like that, and they're like, oh, like I know I should be eating this or I shouldn't be eating that. Like it's kind of this like moral association they're making with food, like that food has moral value. Because like if they're saying like, oh, I'm good or bad based off of the food I eat, right? But like at the end of the day, food is food. Like, but essentially like the only food that should like that you maybe should like think twice about eating is like if you have a food allergy and it's gonna kill you. Like,
I love peanuts.
are you allergic to peanuts?
No.
Okay, good. But like, you see what I mean? Like, if you were allergic, I'd be like, okay, interesting. But yeah, so like if you're allergic to a food and like it's gonna pose a threat to your actual like safety and well-being that way, sure. Or like if there's like food that has gone bad and that's going to give you some sort of like foodborne illness, right? Like those are the food, like that's actually maybe like a bad food. But like sometimes when we talk about like good and bad, like food has no moral value. It's just food, but that's a really hard thing to like unlearn because we've been trained to have this like sense of like what food is good or bad.
Yeah,
right?
Like, no sugar, no like for example, I remember this one time when I was hanging out with my friends, and as I said, I am a triathlete, so there was like the race season soon, so like I have to control everything that I eat to like don't gain like weight and that stuff. So I was hanging out with my friends and everyone was like, okay, let's go eat like something outside, like Wendy's or something. And I was like, my excuse was like, oh no, sorry, I have to go, to like avoid that moment with my friends and don't say like, no, I don't will eat this. And like for 14 years old girl, I think that was so hard.
Yeah.
Because you're like prioritizing like your weight and like how you look also, instead of like have a good moment, have a good memory,
Yeah.
and that stuff.
Totally. Did you ever experience anything like that?
Mostly with myself, with being at home and my auntie cooking these meals, or even when I used to live in a group home. Actually, I was so self-conscious with what I intake, what I was eating, and when I would eat the dinner, I'd quickly go run back to our wing because we had a girls, and the boys' side. So obviously I'm a girl, so I'm gonna go to the girl side, and I go straight to the bathroom and I start puking. I forced myself to puke because I thought as like a 13-year-old girl, I was like, damn, why am I so big? Like, I don't look like all these other girls, like flat stomach, like, just a little skinny. So it's like a love and hate relationship. Like, I'll eat my food, but then I'll throw it up, or I won't eat for the next 8 hours or whatever. Like, that's just what I learned and what I'm trying to unlearn now, which is really, really hard, but I'm trying. It's a process. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and sometimes you feel like when you are doing like throwing up, you can't stop. And
Oh,
then, like, and then like you do the same the next day,
yes.
and the next day, and the next day, and you say like, okay, I will stop, but like you feel like you can't.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like once you start, it is hard to stop because you want to see results. You want to see what you want to see when you look at yourself in the mirror, and it's very repetitive. Like, once you learn how to do something, you're gonna keep on doing it, right? I have a question. When did you guys figure out officially that you guys have a love and hate relationship with food? You said around 20?
Complex question because like I think at baseline like I love food. That's part of the reason why I became a dietitian.
Mm-hmm.
Also, part of the reason why I became a dietitian was it like started at the root of like with an eating disorder, and I remember being like, I can help people lose weight. Like, oh my god.
Yes.
But like that's actually not what I do at all.
Yeah.
It's actually very different, and so when I went to university for my degree, it was like doing a lot of unlearning of like the eating disorder behaviors and stuff like that, which was interesting. But I will say that like it's kind of been one of those things. Like I remember like growing up, and like generally I would say I had a healthy relationship with food for like most of my upbringing, but like I remember reading like 17 magazine and looking at things and being like they would like have little comparisons of like eat this, not that.
Yes.
Like, do you ever remember stuff like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So like I think there's like little like tidbits of things along the way that like it all like society kind of always, as someone who identifies as a woman, like society has always made me feel like I should be thinking about my weight and I should be thinking about food in that way, you know? But it wasn't until I got into like my early 20s and then I like was doing these like workout classes and that sort of thing. And it actually wasn't until I started seeing like the negative physical aspects of what this like disordered eating was doing to my body. It wasn't until that time where I was like, oh, something's really wrong here.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I now consciously know that I do have bad eating habits, but I think I started to recognize it when I was younger, around like 16, 17, because, I was going through my stuff. I thought it was okay. I thought it was like, whatever, like, but yeah, when I grew older, a little bit older, I'm not that old, but I was like, hey girl, like, I need to stop doing what I'm doing because obviously, like, I'm dying in the inside, mentally, emotionally, and literally in the inside. The acid is hurting my throat. But, yeah, so around 16, 17, that's when I started noticing, consciously knowing, like, okay, there's something wrong with me. I need to stop. Yeah. What about you?
For me, it was pretty early. It was 13, 14. Because I was like initially I was learning like to swim in open waters and that stuff, and I used to saw like my teammates, they were like so skinny And there, I guess, is where everything starts, and it's me like comparing myself with other people.
Mhm.
So at that time, I remember I was like not that skinny, and it was hard for me because also I saw like they were like super fast. They were like they also run super fast, and I was like, okay, I have to lose weight because this is making me like slow.
Mhm.
And like no, I like see things other perspective, and it was not like what I thought it was, because for me after that it was like just training and forcing myself to training to like get that expectations. So I started out around like 14, 15, throwing up my food, um, and until like last summer, because then is when I said, okay, you have to stop. And I remember that I came here to Huddle, and I had my first appointment with a dietitian, and she told me like, okay, we will do this, but you have to meet like a counselor, because you cannot do this without help. And it was uh, it was really hard to stop doing that, because because at my home, I no one knows, and like no one never even noticed that behavior in me, and I was like alone until I remember there is one friend who told me like, okay, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I believe that you're like throwing your food. And I was like, oh my god, how you notice that? And that's, I guess, the only support that I have. And then like my mom came to me and told me like, okay, your grandma told me that you're doing this. Stop that because you only want attention. And I was like so shocked. I was so shocked, and because she's supposed to support me, right? And oh yeah, this is hard
Okay,
because I
it's okay.
go back. And when I came here, my counselor was one of my biggest supports. I'm so glad that I asked for help, because if I didn't do that, like if I didn't ask for help, probably I will be like in that black hole again, like throwing my food, like doing extra exercise every day, and I guess that's not healthy at all. And I'm just super glad that I asked for help, and now like I see my life since other since then, and I compare that to what I have now, and that makes me grow a lot. That teach me a lot, um, and I'm just super glad because now my life like it's amazing, and now I love life, and I don't have that feeling to want to disappear because of my body don't looks like at some way. And also it's really hard because of my culture we don't talk about this. Like you don't go to your mom and tell like, mom, I'm having this problem, because they probably say, oh no, you just want attention, or stop doing that. And that's why I wanted to do this, because I want to talk about it. I never talked about it like with someone else. And yeah, that's what I have to say there. And if you are going through something like this, you're not alone. You'll be fine. Believe me. I I started this like last summer, right? So now it's like around no 7 months. We went since I stopped like throwing my food. Uh, and yeah, it was literally life changer.
Changing.
Changing. Okay, yeah. Sorry, my English.
It's
No,
okay,
you're
girl.
good. Yeah, I think sometimes we don't realize like how many negative health effects can occur as a result of eating disorders, right? Like there are tons of health consequences. And so, but it all stems like it is a mental health condition. And sometimes we forget that because we're like, hey, it relates to food. So it's like a nutrition thing, right? But in fact, it like starts here. And that's why like the counseling support is so helpful, right? It can help you just understand why you operate the way you do, why you've engaged in these behaviors, that sort of thing, and then it can give you those skills to cope, right? And I think it's a beautiful thing that we all get to share this right now, and with others too that may be going through something similar or know of someone going through something similar, because I know, as you said, Camilla, like it was a friend who noticed it and was like, hey, something's up.
Yeah.
Right? And like sometimes we know ourselves well enough to be like, yeah, something's off here. Because I know for me, like it was like a physiological thing where I actually lost my period. And so I was like, oh, that seems weird. Like that's never happened before. So I actually, in fact, went to the doctor, and then I was like, hey, this seems a little bit weird. And then I was on hormonal birth control, and so the doctor's like, no, that happens sometimes. By the way, let's take your weight. So they took my weight in office, and they were like, oh, you've lost weight since your last appointment. Like, how did you do that? And then me at the time with my like disordered eating brain, I was like, oh, through like healthy eating and exercise. And she's like, good for you. Keep it up, which just reinforced the disordered eating behaviors even further. So I actually, in fact, didn't get help. It just like perpetuated those feelings and thoughts even more. And like, I'm so glad that both of you found Huddle as a resource, because like I think of, like if I would have found Huddle at that time, I probably wouldn't have gone through it alone. Like I had to, like, I was just trying to like navigate everything. I was like, okay, so like this doesn't feel right. What do I do from here? Like I went to my doctor doesn't recognize this as a problem. Like, so that's another issue too, right? Like if you know something's wrong, I think it's important to recognize it. Like your body best, right? Like, and so if you feel dismissed by a provider and like you don't feel like it opened up the conversation further, all it takes is like one person to recognize it, whether it's a friend, a family member, like an alternative healthcare provider, like someone, because if you're like trying to seek help for that, like you clearly know that there's something off with you, right?
Yeah
100%.
And that's the thing, that also like your doctor told you, oh my god, you lose weight, oh my god, that's good for you, keep it up. But they don't know like the behaviors behind of your losing weight.
No, and like doctor's appointments, they can be so quick sometimes, and so like you're in and out, right? Actually, it's interesting too because, and I pulled a statistic or not a statistic, just some information on this, about the BMI. Have you guys heard of like the BMI?
Yeah.
No? Okay. So, and it's fine because like you don't need to worry about it too much. But essentially, so the BMI, otherwise known as the body mass index, it's a little bit of an archaic measure in like the medical system. And so at the time when I like went to see my doctor and she took my weight and everything, my BMI was still within what was considered a normal range. And so just a little bit of information about the BMI. So it's a formula that divides weight by height squared. Okay, so it takes into consideration your weight and your height. It actually dates back to the 1800s when a Belgian statistician developed it to define characteristics of the average man. So this was not as a metric of health, but it was used as a statistical tool for populational studies. Now, when it comes to eating disorders and the way that they are classified and defined and diagnosed, BMI can be a component of that. So like if you're classified as being like underweight, as according to the BMI, then they may put you in a certain subcategory of eating disorders. If you aren't underweight, they may not put you in like a certain classification, or they may say, you don't have an eating disorder. So like, long story short with that, all I want to say to that is that like eating disorders don't discriminate. Like they can be in like any type of body shape, size, you name it. Like anyone with any gender who like identifies as a certain gender, is may experience an eating disorder. And so with the BMI, over time it was like used by like life insurance companies to classify different people into different categories based off of insurance. But it didn't consider like age or individual health differences. It didn't consider like cultural differences. And so long story short, this method, or this metric I should say, it's flawed and often misleading for individual health. So it's interesting because at the time for me, like when I went to the doctor and I was like, hey, like having this problem, and then they take my weight and then they're like, oh, you lost weight, great, but you're not in this like underweight classification as according to this BMI measure. I wasn't classified as like having an eating disorder or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I always wonder like why they have to put you like in a group of people, and if like you're not in that group of people, like you don't have it, or you don't have like that eating disorder, you don't have that problem, you don't have, you're good, you're healthy, you look healthy, and I don't know.
And like, does healthy really have like a look, you know? Maybe by society standards.
Yeah,
but like,
that's like a standard, but like you don't know like what the other people is like going through.
Yeah, totally.
When I was younger, right, I actually searched up what is the proper weight for individual heights. I am 5'7.5", and supposedly Google says that a 5'7" girl is supposed to weigh 140, 130, somewhere around that range. And I was like 180, 170, like around there. So when I looked at Google and I was like, hey, really? This is like the weight standard? I literally, my heart just broke. And I was like, hey, now I'm a big fat ass. What the hell? So I was like, yeah, it just made me want to lose weight even more. Made me not want to eat. I wouldn't even be able to go outside or even sit in a goddamn classroom. Like, when I would be sitting in a classroom, it'd be dead silence. Like, ain't nobody talking. And then you'll just hear my stomach go in the corner. Growl or something. And I just get all embarrassed. And then I just get up. I'll be like, can I leave, please? And I'll go for a walk. Go refill my water bottle and chug a whole bunch of water. Because nobody told me that what I was doing was okay, and being the weight size that I am is okay, because a lot of people have a lot of different weight. We carry weight in different areas, and that's natural. That's the beauty of being a woman, being a human person. And being healthy means like being healthy with your brain, your like spiritual self, your emotional health, all that stuff, because it doesn't matter how you look like. I like how I look like, but yes, I also have those days where I'm like, okay, down. Like, I always look at myself in a mirror. When I wake up, when I'm just walking, or even just down the street, I'm just like looking into the mirror, windows.
Yes.
And like remember that like what I was saying earlier about like body dysmorphia and body checking, right? Like looking in the mirror, like that's a thing. Like that is associated with like having body dysmorphia, or like also it could be a component of eating disorders as well. Also something I wanted to mention, because you were like, oh, I looked up like 5'7" and like what's like the appropriate weight on Google. And so the weight that you found fell into the normal weight range of BMI. Like, and for those of you watching, I keep doing like the quotes like this normal because like what is normal anyway, right? But I'm talking about like normal as classified by the BMI. So I think you were saying like you weren't super familiar with that, but this is like the metric that was made in the 1800s that didn't account for things like muscle mass, for cultural differences, for like it didn't account for any of that. It only takes into consideration your height and your weight, and that's it. It knows nothing about your life, nothing about your history, nothing about your trauma, nothing about your family, like nothing.
Yeah.
Which I think is just like something to take into consideration when we like look at these classifications, right?
There is also when you try like to deny like the problem because you're like, okay, no, I'm okay, like this is super normal, everyone is doing this, and you don't like notice that at the moment. You're like, it's fine, everyone is doing that, everyone wants to be like skinny. And when I was like younger, because I guess my mindset changed a lot, like I was like, no, everyone wants to be skinny. And I saw like my grandmother and my mother and my aunts, and they're like, no, everyone wants to be skinny, and like that's like this stigma to be accepted in society.
Yeah, that's called weight stigma. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah, it's like the stigmatization of like there's weight stigma and there's weight bias, and these things are concepts about how we think about certain people based off of their like how they present, like not necessarily how they present, but like you know, whether they are of like a larger body size or something like that, because society tells us like there is like a certain place we need to be, or like, you know, there's a certain weight or like a certain way we have to look. Yeah, it's rooted in something called weight stigma and weight bias.
Yeah, also it's like I remember people saying like how the people look at you, it's like how they will treat you. And I was like, okay, no, I cannot like be bigger than I supposed to be. But also in between of that you're like thinking, oh, they will look at me in that way. We lose the important stuff to see like who is like the personality of the people. Like you forgot about it, and you're like, oh no, I just can be like her friend because she's pretty and whatever, and you forgot like to see. You forgot like to see what is really important. It's like who is that person and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if we just like based our friend groups and like people who we're surrounded with solely based on appearance only, like can you imagine what that would look like?
It's like, I don't know, it's like so toxic. I remember having a group of friends when I was like in high school, grade 10, 11, and I only wanted to be friends with the popular kids. Like there was this one girl, she wore all pink, so I became the purple girl in the school. And I remember like everybody would come up to us and be like, oh my goodness, like you guys are so cool, you guys look so good, so fit. What? Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I'm like, girl, I'm like starving myself. You don't want to be me. For real. But yeah, just imagine surrounding yourself with people that look good, yes, but whether you know it or not, in the back of their brain, you're like, oh, like I'm doing so much shit. Like, yeah, struggling really hard. When I was younger, one of the main reasons why I wanted to lose weight was because in Filipino culture, your mothers, well, I had a stepmom at the time. My mom's white, not really white, indigenous, but my stepmom, she was Filipino, and we'd go out to like these little occasions with their family, and all the aunties would come up to me and be like, you're so chubby, your cheeks, you need to lose weight, and all of that. Yes, and I was like 5, 6, and then they were talking to me like, if you lose weight, you can become a model. So much people will love you. You can, you'll have like, you'll fit in with the regular beauty standards as a, I don't know, as a female, and that's where like, whether me knowing it or not, I didn't know like that's kind of where it all started, because by then I would want to be skinny. I I ate less, and I didn't know that. Like I just would start denying food. Like I don't know, it's very sad. And then even like my biological parents, like even like my auntie would be like, "Oh, I thought you were gonna always be skinny your whole entire life," because I used to live with her when I was 15, 16. She never expected me to be like a bigger girl. So that kind of just put my mindset to where, okay, well, now I have to be skinny, because why is she thinking I'm always going to be skinny or whatever? And I was just dumb. I was very gullible. Like, I am, like, you say something, I'm going to do it, because I'm trying to prove you people. My dad, he would, like, call me a pig, would say a whole bunch of things, right? And would take advantage of my mind and made me do things that I didn't know was wrong in a way. Like, okay guys, watch out. But my dad, he was very heavily into drugs, right? And so when I was like 11 to 12, he got me hooked up on meth. And that took a big part of my childhood away of experiencing what a normal kid is, because in my mind he would be feeding me, "You're fine. If you want to lose weight, do this, smoke this." And when I was younger, I didn't know nothing, and I was so gullible with my parents because I never had parents. I was born and raised in foster care, set a whole bunch of standards, so it was very hard for me to even be myself, you know. So that's also where it kind of started from. Don't do drugs.
Thank you for sharing. I'm trying to remember. There's like something I printed off previously about. Yes, here it is. It's about the impacts of body dysmorphia and eating disorders, and I didn't know if we would like touch upon this, but especially with like using substances and that sort of thing, I think it's important that we chat about that. But so something that I just pulled up before the podcast. So it says both eating disorders and body dysmorphic disorder are serious mental health conditions which have a much higher rate of mortality than the general population. For example, anorexia nervosa, which is a type of eating disorder, has the second highest mortality rate of any mental illness, with studies finding a 6-fold increase in mortality compared to the general population. So that means you're 6 times more likely to die, essentially, if you live with that type of eating disorder. Reasons for this increased mortality rate include the effects of starvation, substance abuse, and suicide. So individuals with body dysmorphic disorder also have increased risk of death. This increased risk is primarily due to suicide, which approximately 24 to 28% are attempting suicide. And so this is significantly greater than other types of mental illnesses in the general population. So these things can coexist. So there's a lot of like health consequences of these things, right? And you can see how they're intertwined, like the mental health, the substance use, the body dysmorphia, like all these things, right?
Yeah, also like internally, like in your body, you feel it. Like every time you go to throw up, you feel it. There is something wrong. It's like your stomach saying, "Okay, stop, please.
Yes.
This is hurting me."
Yes.
And like you feel it.
You feel it internally. Like if you starve yourself, you're gonna feel it in your stomach. It's gonna hurt you so bad, and it's gonna ruin your life with being open and interacting with new people or just being around other people, because you're hurting your stomach. Your stomach is going to be vocal, and it's just, to me, in that time where my stomach would go off because I wouldn't eat breakfast, lunch, sometimes even dinner. I'd snack here and there, but even then, like, it wasn't enough. But I'd be so embarrassed myself to let my stomach go off, and I'd like crunch my stomach or chug water when I feel like it's gonna happen, because I'm like, okay, I have to make it stop happening, like not make it as loud. And it's just like, it's like me trying to cover up all this stuff, and meanwhile it's like my body just, please eat something.
Yeah, and like it's interesting too because like, let me just say this, like if you have to pee, are you gonna try and hold it?
No.
You're not gonna like try and pee your pants, right? Like you're gonna go to the bathroom. So like when I say that, it's kind of an analogy for like trying to hold our hunger, right? Like your body is smarter than you realize. Like it is just trying to keep you alive. And so like it's telling you like I'm hungry for a reason because it needs energy, and chances are like you need that to fuel your body and your brain and everything to do the things you do in a day. And so just like you wouldn't ignore going to the bathroom, you shouldn't ignore those hunger cues, right? Because there's a reason for them. But like with eating disorders coinciding, that's often something that you see, right?
I remember that when I started like getting better, I read some stuff, and one of the things that I always repeat myself, it was like, you are more than a weight, more than a size, and more than a stigma, because you are a wonderful human and you deserve better. So I try every day to say that, and that helps a lot, like because you're like realizing, you're like accepting that cannot like determine who are you.
Yeah, like this body, like, and we have to be grateful for this body because like it gets us from point A to point B. Like it allows us to do all the things that we love, right? It's kept us alive for like all of the crazy things that we've been through. And yeah, our body is just a vessel to like allow us to do the things that we want to do. But like the heart and the spirit of who we are, like that's the core of your being, right? Totally. So sometimes, when we have like deep conversations like this, we wonder like where to go from here, like what other resources or things or support could we utilize or seek out. So just some tips that I like jotted down were alter your social media, follow more people who look like you. That can be really helpful. Follow people who like have all different types of shapes and sizes of bodies, or of different ethnicities. Like follow a variety of people, because if you're just following like one body type and that's all you're consuming and that's all you're seeing, your brain is going to be like, I need to be like them.
Yes.
Right? So like at the very like baseline of things, like if there's like one small thing you could do, like alter your social media if you can, or like if you're able to, like try and be on social media less, because as we know, like it's a slippery slope. Like you can be on TikTok scrolling for
hours.
Yeah, and also you feel so tired after that.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It can totally be exhausting. Another little tip would be like pour into yourself. So find things that you enjoy that have nothing to do with changing your appearance. Like I'm sure we can all list like at least one thing that we like to do that has nothing to do with our appearance, right?
Yeah, like art. Like I started like learning how to swim.
So
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's stuff that you don't have to change anything about you. You just have to be like creative, and it puts you like in a spot where you are like just enjoying being yourself.
Yeah, a little bit of that self-care. What about you, Rose?
I do a lot of music. I write music. I don't post them because I don't think I'm good enough. That's also another mentality change that I need to do.
Working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it. But even going out for walks, it's really bad. Sometimes I find myself drinking when I'm bored because it's open, it's there. But I don't know, I enjoy it. Just kidding. I like going around town, just figuring like what is there to do, like what kind of underground, what is it like, comedy shows. Love comedy shows. Those are really good to go to if you're just bored. Like, oh, it's so fun. I don't really do much. I write books. I play instruments like ukulele, guitar, and then try and make beats on my phone, but it's whatever. That's what I try and do. Yeah.
Yeah, so like pouring into yourself, self-care can be really good. Another thing I just wrote down was like boundaries with like tons of exclamation marks. So whether that's like yeah, with like certain like people in your life, or like around certain things, like boundaries are a great way to love yourself and other people, in a way that works for you. So like creating those boundaries, right? If there's like a family member that you're finding like, hey, they are not that supportive and they're making comments about my body, which by the way, no one should be making comments about your body. You can create boundaries. That can be a tough thing to do. So like counseling support can be helpful to navigate that and like supporting you along the way. And being honest with yourself and your medical providers. Like you can tell your doctor, like when you go for your appointment and if they're like, I want to weigh you, you can be like, actually, I would prefer to not be weighed unless there's a reason that I absolutely have to be weighed. Like you can tell doctors that. Sometimes people don't realize that, but like you can tell them that. And then if they're like, no, we're going to do this anyway, like maybe it's not a good fit then, depending on you, right? So like trying to find a provider that really like you jive with that way. And lastly, reaching out for support, because it sounds like that's what both of you did, right?
I'm trying to, like, I am still currently dealing with my eating disorder and body dysmorphia because it's an endless cycle. It's like learning how to undo bad habits, right? And for me and myself, I haven't really been able to reach out for help because I am so introverted where it's like I can do things myself. I'm independent. I've gotten this far by myself. I don't need nobody's help. I'll just have to learn how to do it myself and how to quit, which can be very hard. And just being with you guys and talking about the podcast, how you're doing good yourself and how you like suggested like the type of help that you can receive made me, or now that I'm thinking that I can do this, I can reach out for help. And again, you're not alone. We're probably going through the same thing as we speak. So it's just good knowing that there's a end to a new beginning. If that makes sense?
Yes,
I hope that makes sense.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, figuring out what works for you, what works for one person may not work for the next, right? And so when the time is right, reaching out for that support, because those supports do exist.
It literally changed your life, because I remember like I was like so sad, like I had like no friends because like this is my first year like living here. So like I literally put myself in a spot where I didn't talk with anyone, I didn't wanted to get new friends. And after like you talk about it, that problem has like less power, and you're like, I can do this, and you can do this, and like the opportunities like will come to you, and will find you, and there will be like supportive people, there will be your people, and yeah, so it's like what I always say, I'm so grateful to be here, to be alive, and I'm grateful that I start, because it's never too late or early to be like the person you want to be.
I think that's like a perfect note to end on.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The both of you.
Yeah, it was really, really, talk about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cut.